Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Rays Rewind with El Bushman and Drew.
Jansen. That is into center field. Here comes Kiermaier. Phillips has tied the game. Arose Arena coming around. Throw home. Now he stumbles. But the ball gets away. Tampa Bay wins it. Brett Phillips, Game 4 hero.
The sickest Tampa Bay Rays podcast. It's gonna be sick.
And welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Rays Rewind podcast, the sickest Tampa Bay Rays podcast on the Sick Podcast Network. I know you're all mad and there's no trivia for the show intro like we usually do. I didn't have anything for today, so sorry. Make sure to catch us on YouTube at our YouTube page at the Sick Podcast, Rays Rewind, and our Instagram page too at Rays Rewind Podcast. Rolling with great guests coming on to the show. We'll bring them right in. All right, guys, joining us now on the show is the most energetic voices in Tampa Bay sports. This guy brings the heat every single time he's on the mic, whether it's breaking down the Rays, the Rowdies, the Bucks, and of course your Bolts. You can catch him every day on YouTube. Let's welcome to the show the host of the Recher podcast, Jay Recher. What's up, man?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Good morning to you. Doing baseball mom podcasts, and you're a busy man, dude.
It never ends, brother.
It's a glamorous life.
Everybody says, I want to do a podcast, and it's like, all right, we got to talk. We got to break it all down. It doesn't look as pristine as Rays Rewind, but yeah, it's a beautiful. We live in Tampa Bay, man, and especially with the Rays doing well and the Lightning inching closer to the playoffs. Like, what a time to be alive here in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, man. So let's start right here. I mean, how, this 2026 version of the Tampa Bay Rays, how do you feel about them right now as compared to the 2025 version of the Tampa Bay Rays?
I tell you what, I feel a lot better today than I did about 4 or 5 days ago. Listen, I think it was pretty easy to tell what was going to be up with this team based on who is going to play well, right? So it's like, all right, well, nobody was picking them to do anything really in the division. Nobody was really picking them for the wild card. And in years past, sometimes those are some of the best Rays team when they're kind of flying under the radar. But we knew, all right, Drew Rasmussen was going to have to be your ace. He was just going to have to give you innings. Like, he's an innings eater. I don't know what we're going to see from a guy like Shane McClanahan. It was going to be a slow, steady approach. And you're just going to need some innings from the back of the rotation with Nick Martinez and Steven Matz. And then the offense centers around 3 guys, and Chandler Simpson, I think, is one of one. But this offense is only going to go as far as Diaz, Aranda, and Caminero takes them, right? That's just the name of the game. Your best players have to be your best players against some of these really, really good teams. And, the Rays have to play complementary baseball. You hear a lot in football, right? Offense, defense, special teams. But the Rays have to do a little bit of everything. And the one thing that I really loved, and I've been saying this for many, many years, this team is not going to be a group that's going to be able to go out there and buy a guy that hits 40 home runs and drives in 100 runs. They're not going to be able to go out there and buy a guy that's going to, win 19, 20 games. They got to play small ball. They got to put the ball in play. And I love how in that series against the Yankees, they leaned into the fundamentals. They leaned into putting the ball in play. They leaned on bunting. I had this conversation with Kevin Kiermaier many years ago. He's like, Jay, that's not my thing. And I'm like, all right, well, yeah, one of the fastest guys in the league. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't just, after you hit a home run, try to lay a bunt down, because they're not thinking it's coming. So I think leaning into a guy like Chandler Simpson, putting the ball in play, causing havoc. I always thought the Rays should play baseball a little bit more like a college team. Play the ball, hit and run, bunts, do things like that. Run, rabbit, run. I mean, we saw it back in 2008. Like, they did that with Crawford. They did that with B.J. Upton. They didn't sit there and wait for the 3-run home run. I don't know if they're ever going to be built like that. So it was really good to see them get back to the fundamentals in that game against the Yankees. And that's why, and that's how you can sweep a team and when they have a payroll that's twice as big as yours.
Yeah, we had Kevin on this past episode before you, and we were like, going into the Yankee series, I was like, we might have a different conversation with Kevin about how they might get swept, or they'll win maybe 1 out of the 3, but to go in to have the Yankees come in and we sweep them, and to go back to that, the small ball approach, and that's kind of like the Rays have been known for a long time, is the small ball approach. And it's like that to me that's vintage Rays baseball, especially when you're utilizing the speed on the base paths. And I know Kevin Cash was talking about, hey, we're going to be bunting the hell out of this. And That's the type of cash decisions I like. Instead of having him and trying to like do the whole analytics stuff with the lineups and stuff like that. And I know he was getting a lot of criticism because of having Junior batting fourth or not having Chandler Simpson at the top spot. So I loved it. Like anytime we can sweep the Yanks, I'm happy about it, and it just puts a smile on my face.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, in the pitching matchups didn't favor. Yeah. I mean, they got Fried and Schlittler going.
Yeah.
Right. It was Fried's owned the Rays. I mean, he's as complete of a pitcher as you can get out there. I think the lineup, we mentioned Diaz, Aranda, Caminero. Obviously, I think on a consistent basis, you said, those guys are going to drive the offense. Everyone agrees with that. I think what elevates the offense to a level maybe that we didn't expect coming in is if Chandler, not that he's going to hit 400 for the whole year because no one's literally done that, I think, since Ted Williams. But if he's going to be on base percentage near 4 or in the high 3s, I think you're looking, and especially if they keep him at the top of the lineup, that's what's going to, I think, just make this team so much more dynamic. And it's incredible how he affected so many aspects of that game. Or the games this weekend, even when he came in as a pinch hitter, and played sparingly on Saturday. Everything was high pressure for the Yankees defense, and they weren't able to handle it. So Simpson has me feeling like the floor of this team offensively can be a lot higher than what I anticipated for this season.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think about it too when you talk about Chandler Simpson. It's weird, isn't it, guys? Like, people are almost adverse to putting a guy like that batting leadoff. If this was 1996 instead of 2026, he'd be the leadoff hitter from the beginning of the season, right? He's your prototypical leadoff hitter. But nowadays, it's like, well, we want really a Yandy. We want like a Ronald Acuna Jr. And it's just like people are adverse to that type of mindset. So I think it's kind of funny. And I like that. The Rays are always going to be analytical. And listen, we always talk about like the Rays, but every team really uses a heavy dose of analytics. The Yankees do too. And I know a lot of Yankee fans too that think that they use analytics too much. And I agree. I agree. I think they have a real big issue when it comes to identity. And it really rears its ugly head when you face a team that plays really good fundamental baseball and that can pitch. And, you're not going to see that against some of the lower tier teams in the league, but that's why the Rays have success against the Yankees, because they do it the right way. But I thought it was a pretty easy call, to put Chandler Simpson either at 9 or at 1. There's no reason he should be batting behind those guys. He needs to be on the bases in front of those guys. It's only going to make it easier for them. And, your bread is buttered by Junior Caminero. I know we link all those 3 guys together. He's the cornerstone. He's the centerpiece. You have to protect him at all costs. He's still a young kid. I'm putting Aranda, I'm putting Diaz, I'm putting everybody behind him. I don't want to see. I think it's good for him as far as showing his patience at the plate when he's walking, but it's not good for the team if he's walking. It's good for him if he's getting on base with people on base and he's coming up with the hits. But you can't be like, all right, well, we're going to walk him because we're going to get to Ben Williamson or we're going to get to Cedric Mullins. No, like, you have to pay if you're going to walk Junior Caminero. And the only way you do that is by hitting guys, whether it's both of them or it's one of them, Aranda or Diaz. He needs protection in the lineup. I don't think that's a slight towards him. I just think that's the way that your lineup needs to be constructed. The Rays made that adjustment, and now you see it kind of taken off a little bit.
You mean, go ahead. Well, I was going to say, you mean to tell me that Ryan Valade isn't enough protection behind Junior Caminero? Jay, what are you saying, man? You don't know baseball.
Sometimes the Rays get a little too raised for me when they do things like that. It's sometimes just. And I love, and I've known Kevin Cash for a very long time, but even before he was with the Rays. And I love that they get they squeeze the most juice out of every resource that they have. But sometimes it's just like, just make the lineup look like a baseball lineup.
Yeah.
It's okay. You don't have to try to reinvent the wheel. Well, let's try Longoria batting leadoff. Joe Madden used to do that to just throw a little fly in the ointment. They got to mix it up a little bit. Like sometimes it's almost like the old rotisserie ovens from the 90s. Just set it. Yeah. Forget it, man. You don't have to tinker.
Just sprinkle a little salt and pepper and keep it simple, man. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do.
It was so funny because we were talking to Kevin Kiermaier about the lineup a little bit and kind of just his experience with how they set the lineup and what he knew about the process back when he was playing. And he made it clear. He goes, Cash would say, I make the lineup. So we know Cash is, whether he gets, obviously tips or influence from the people upstairs, he's the one making the lineup apparently. So it's just funny because I remember they would like do a special on Joe Madden and he'd be like in his RV on the beach, like putting in a lineup, like making a lineup on his RV like that day. And it was this whole like peaceful process and just like, whatever, like he just felt like in the moment just was the best thing to do. And Cash, it's just like, it just feels like the opposite, like overthinking, just trying to be different. We got to get two lefties in front of Junior. Like, no, you don't. You don't have to. I'm interested tonight because we're recording on Tuesday. I don't believe this will go up until a little bit later in the week. So as people watch this, we'll know the answer. But they're going up against a rookie lefty tonight, Noah Schultz, their big prospect for the White Sox. I would love against lefties. I think Chandler, you just keep him at the top. And then you go Junior, Yandy, Aranda, or whatever order you want there. But I think Chandler at the top, lefty, righty, I don't care who's pitching. He's going to get on base higher than anyone on the team. You take your chances and let him create some havoc. I think it's a simple recipe, but I feel like I'm crazy because I'm told I don't know baseball like they do. So, obviously I'm wrong, but to me, it seems like a simple answer. So I hope they do that moving forward. But
yeah, I'm with you, man. I look at a situation too, and I feel like when lefties are on the mound, teams overthink it sometimes, and it's not just. Trust me, it's not just the Rays, right? The Yankees put Paul Goldschmidt batting leadoff instead of Trent Grisham, and the way that these rosters are constructed, and it's every roster, they have guys that are on the team primarily to hit against left-handed pitching, right? So they will try to find ways to get guys a day off, like. The Mets will try to get Soto a day off. Well, not now because he's hurt, but you know what I'm saying? Like the Phillies will try to give Bryce Harper a day off against a tough lefty. So I don't know. I'm with you, man. I want to see some stuff where it's just like, he's your best player or he's one of your best players. Like, just let him rock. You know what I mean? Sometimes like, don't reinvent the wheel. Just kind of put your same lineup out there and let's see what they got. If he goes 0 for 25 against lefties, then all right, we'll keep him in the lineup out of 7. Right? Or something like that. But like, give it a little bit of a run here, and your best players need to be out there. And I'm with you, man. Like I am not one of those guys that worries about overexposure because baseball is one of those games where like you're gonna do great, you're gonna struggle. You're gonna do great, you're gonna struggle. It's just the way there's a lot of ebbs and flows. There's a lot of ups and downs. I think Chandler Simpson should be considered in that same vein of a Diaz, Aranda, and Caminero, where he's got to be in there every day. He is one of the most exciting players in baseball. He causes havoc, even if he grounds out. I'm with you guys, man. I've been a Simpson stan since day one. I love that dude.
Listen, I just recently got into sports trading cards, and I just bought a few of his autos. So I'm hoping that his stock continues to rise, and then I'll be able to flip in the next couple months.
Like it,
his triple was against Yarbrough. I mean, not that Yarbrough is Sandy Koufax, but I mean, like he obviously can he sees the ball. I don't know. It seems like such a simple answer. I don't know why they refuse to just do the easy thing. But
Jay, let's go back. Let's go over to the pitching side of things. And I know you made a comment about Shane McClanahan. He's had a couple of frustrating starts. Well, frustrating to him. He's been very vocal about it. Looking at the rotation now, we've gotten quality starts out of Matz and Martinez. Martinez, who everybody was kind of iffy on because of his spring. Looking at the rotation now with Pepio still on the IL and Boyle's now on the IL too with the elbow thing. How are we looking at this rotation now going forward with those two guys on the IL still, and now Shane's still kind of ramping up, still kind of iffy right now. What do you see out of the rotation now?
Well, I spoke to Pepio last week, and he said he wasn't gonna. He'll be back soon, so
okay,
he'll be fine. I think it's just a hip thing, so it's not something that's overly concerned with him. You want to make sure that if you have something minor like that, you don't rush it back because then you'll lean on something else. You might hurt something, and it might be long term. So, isn't
that the same type of injury Glasnow had? Wasn't it a hip when he was with the Rays?
Same exact one. I know he had something similar. I don't know if it's the same thing. But my main focus is Shane McClanahan, and I worry's probably too strong of a word, and again, this is a guy that I've known back to his USF days when I used to cover and work with USF. Like, he's such a good dude and he's such a big competitor. I just want to make sure that he, in his own mind, like,
Yeah.
give yourself some grace, bro. Give yourself some grace. Like, I know he's got high expectations. I know he's a perfectionist. I know he wants to get back to the Sugar Shane that started the All-Star game at Chavez Ravine in LA in the All-Star game years ago. But, like, dude, it's a process.
Yep.
And I don't want him to beat himself up too much. Like, I appreciated after the first start the way he was. I appreciate that candor. But then the second one, it was like, dude, it's not going to be perfect, man. Like, don't kill yourself. Like, you're going to be all right. He's going to be fine. He's got high expectations. And listen, what I've learned over the years covering sports for over a decade in the city is that good players are like, they're here. Great players and the top tier guys, the Kucherovs of the world, they're like, the way that they look at sports and the way that they look at life, like, we as people that aren't professional athletes, we can't really understand that. It's just a different breed. They sometimes they're a little ornery. Sometimes they get really pissed. They have such high standards for themselves. We can't really understand that because they're operating on a completely different stratosphere. Like Kucherov, when he sits in the circle for like 17 straight minutes, it's like, dude, go somewhere else. But that he's locked in, bro. He's like, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. Same thing with Shane. Like, he's like, I got to get this right. And I just hope that he allows himself to kind of bring the temperature down a little bit because I don't know if he's going to be out throwing 8 innings every week. I don't know if he's going to be able to throw 200 innings. Like, whatever he can give them on the field and off the field, I think is a plus because we miss him. We miss seeing him out there. And I think I would rather just take it easy with Shane. And then when you get closer and if you can make a run to get to the postseason, then hopefully he's back to the Shane McClanahan.
He should feel encouraged. I mean, the 2 starts that he had were pretty decent, except for like the 1 inning. So I know he's hardened himself and he wants to get back to that top form, but he should be encouraged about, hey man, look, you're still ramping up. It's still, you're still not, I mean, you're going to be, the stamina isn't there yet, but it's getting there. So trust the process, man. I think, I hope he knows that. All right. Is the bullpen going to get any better?
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing. If you think about the benefit of the doubt, right? Like, you look at certain teams out there when you're like, all right, well, eventually it'll kind of get back to what they're used to, right? And I think if there's one thing that we've learned with Kevin Cash and Kyle Snyder and this Rays team, like, they sometimes need some time to figure out what the right order is going to go in the bullpen, right? How much are we going to see Kevin Kelly? Is Griffin Jackson going to bounce back out of this, right? A guy like Brian Baker, they seem to really I think Griffin Jackson is going to bounce back. I mean, we know that we traded Taj Bradley for him, and, it doesn't look great when you see him throw 10 pitch, get 10 strikeouts for the Twinkies. But I think they're going to be okay. They just got to kind of get their feet underneath them. I haven't been thrilled with the fundamentals of the team so far, right? Like, the defense has been quite porous. The bullpen hasn't been that good. And then you look at their record and you're like, probably should be a little worse, right?
Yeah.
Like, based on some of the, kind of the inside numbers there. So I'm not overly concerned. I think they'll work themselves out. And if they don't, then you have to have some real discussions. Like, all right, what are we doing? Do we need to bring in some different guys? Right. But I think those guys people always talk about regressing to them. I think they'll progress to the mean and get a little bit better for sure.
Yeah. Okay. It is. Back to the rotation real quick. I think Drew Rasmussen might be the most underrated pitcher in baseball, if not certainly the American League. I think he's got a real shot. I know the innings, they're going to still kind of hold him back a little bit. We saw that Sunday he was at 76 pitches. They didn't want to push him past 6, even with a depleted bullpen. I mean, I think he's got a real shot to get like top 5 Cy Young votes this year.
I mean, depending on how well they play, like if we're talking about a team that ends up winning 88 games, 89 games, right? Like, and they're in the hunt for the wild card. Like, the only way they're going to do that is if Drew Rasmussen wins maybe 15, 16 games, right? And he's always a guy that keeps runners off base. His whip is always low. His ERA, he does a really good job of keeping the ball down. He's an ultimate bulldog and a competitor. So, yeah, I think that's the thing with me with this Rays team. We talked about this at the beginning. in order for them to be good, their best players have to be really, really good, right? So if the Rays get to that point where that they're in the hunt of a wild card or even sniffing the division, like you're going to need some pretty big performances. So you're probably going to be talking about Junior as an MVP candidate or Drew Rasmussen as a Cy Young guy, right? Or like one of these other guys maybe as a Silver Slugger, right? So or Chandler Simpson as an All-Star. Like there's things that need to happen in order for them to be able to compete, not just in the division, but for a playoff spot. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think if he stays on the right track, he stays healthy. I've always loved Drew Rasmussen from the beginning. Like he's a dog, man. He's a dog. Yeah. And I remember at one time when all 5 of those guys were on the team, and it was McClanahan and Boz and Glasnow and him and Taj, and we were like, who could throw the next no-hitter in Rays history? And you could ask 5 people, and they could have 5 different answers because that's how good the stuff is. So Jeffrey Springs, like, it's good starters. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm a big Drew Rasmussen guy. He gives me a lot of faith when it comes to this team in that rotation because he's right there at the front.
Raz, I think Raz got within like two outs, maybe 3 outs against the Orioles, I believe. I don't remember what year that was. I can't remember if it was a perfect game or a no-hitter. But yeah, he got close. So I mean, I could see it, if they ever let him get up that high in innings. But I do, not to be negative, considering they coming off a Yankee sweep, but I think some of the bigger picture issues, and I appreciate, Jay, your perspective a little bit because I think do a good job of just analyzing the team and not just really looking at it comprehensively, like not just being optimistic about everything, and really questioning what this Rays team and what like the organization has been doing, especially over the last few years. I think one of my stats I hate the most is that they've won so many games since 2008, and it's just like, I get it, like we're up there with the Dodgers and the Yankees since 2008, but I don't care about what we did 15 years ago. I care about what we've done this year and the last few years. And what I've seen over the last few years, outside of the first 2 months of 2023, is, uneven baseball. Honestly, the defense hasn't been there. The pitching has been up and down, and you could attribute that to a number of things. I know Steinbrenner, obviously the Wander Franco,
don't mention his name on this show.
Yeah, I always bring it up because I just don't think it gets talked about enough. Like certainly from a national level, because people don't want to talk about him and then have to talk about what's going on. And I get that it's kind of a weird, gross topic, but
that conversation that you had with Klosky about Wander derailing the team was all right, okay,
and they're feeling it, and they still are feeling it. But I just worry. I look at the minors. I look at Carson Williams, probably rushed because of the Taylor Walls injury, but like guys that they are developing on their own just don't seem, they're either hitting these huge walls in the minors or they just aren't really coming up and making huge impacts, especially on the position player side. And I think we've seen that like they're trying to cover that up with some of these trade deadline hauls that they've had over the last few years. And I don't know, I've been disappointed overall with what I'm seeing on the field, considering I'm just fed every year, like pitching and defense, or we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And this whole offseason was about, we're getting back to pitching and defense. And it was like the first week and a half to 2 weeks, the pitching was bad, bullpen mostly, and the fielding was atrocious. And it's still, they're still leading the league in errors. So like, how do you feel about this organization overall, like big picture? And we can get really into the details of what's happening right now, and we don't know what's going to happen this season, but I'm still questioning what I'm feeling about this team overall and moving forward. I'm not as nearly as confident in like the process and maybe like I was back in the late teens, early 20s.
Drew, just say you hate the trades that have been going on in the past.
No, I don't hate the trades. I mean, honestly, some of the prospects they got, I'm excited about, but I don't have any reason. I don't feel like I have any reason to believe that like we're gonna really get back to Rays baseball and having this minor league system just churning out players. And it always feels like they're having to cover their tracks by making outside trades, or I don't know. I'm just big picture. I'm a little down, and I'm just wanting to hear, Jay, like either I'm crazy or what you're thinking.
Oh, Drew, you're the first person to ask me this unprovoked, which I really, really enjoy, my friend.
Yeah.
Let me start and preface this by saying we know who the end all be all when it comes to Rays information comes in this town. That's Mark Topkin from the Tampa Bay Times. He's a dear, dear friend of mine. I love the guy. Um, he covers this team as well as any team in the entire country, right? But after Mark Topkin, and this is no slight to Adam Berry from MLB.com, I think he does a lot of great pieces. But outside of those two guys, nobody really takes this team to task. Nobody
Mhm.
really questions this team on what they do and the decisions that they make. Uh, and if you do, you come off as a hater. You come off as a person that doesn't like the team. I've, to be completely transparent, I wonder if that's the reason why I haven't gotten credentialed is because I've been kind of vocal in questioning some of the things. It's never personal, but I've always felt like people looked at me different from the Rays than any of the other teams in town because I'm from New York. Like I grew up a Yankees fan. My great grandparents watched Babe Ruth at Yankee Stadium, right? But you've never heard me bash the Rays. You've never heard me say Yankees over Rays. Like, I'm not going to hide that I grew up a Yankees fan, but I'm also not going to hide that I work for the Rays and I support them and I want them to do well. Like, it's better for me as a business, but it's also like
Mhm.
I'm friends with Ryan Pepio. I'm not friends with anybody on the Yankees. Like, I covered, Kevin Cash's nephew is on my team. You know what I mean? I know Shane McClanahan. You know what I mean? Like, I know Kevin Kiermaier. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's the same thing with the Rangers. I grew up a Ranger fan, but like, does JJ Moser text me stupid stuff about Manchester United? Yes, he does. Being his manager doesn't do that, right? So I think that's where a little bit of the issue comes with people like holding this team and taking them to task is like you wait to hear what Topkin has to say, and then and I used to work at WDAE, and I never felt like I couldn't say things, but there's always going to be kind of that thing that people are going to look at guys at DAE like, do you really question Eric Neander? Do you really question the coach because you don't want to, strain that
Ruffle
relationship?
any feathers or anything like that?
There's like I've never gotten that. Like I've gotten that from the Lightning, and they're not even. But they asked me like, "Why would you say that?" And I would tell them. That's just the way it goes. Like I think people would be able to be. They would see right through me if I wasn't being authentic.
Right.
And to kind of answer your question, Drew, like I am not like thrilled with what I've seen. Like
Yeah.
I'm a baseball coach at the end of the day. My dad was a coach. My grandfather was a coach. Right? You're not going to pay for the money. You're not going to pay the money for the bats. You better be good at pitching and defense. Right? Everybody keeps telling me pitching and defense. Fine. That's great. Develop these arms and go from there. I'm cool with that. But then if you lead the league in errors, you're not just status quo. You're the worst. You are the worst. So what does that mean when it comes to precedence on what you prioritize as a team? Not even as a team. That's the problem, Drew. It's not a team thing. It's an organizational thing, right? How long did it take us to find out if Jonathan Aranda was the real deal? He was the man at AAA for a long time.
Right.
Look at the guys on the roster right now. How many of these guys have been drafted and developed? I like, who are they developing? What young guys are they bringing in to push the guys and to try to push them out? Like Taylor Walls, he has trouble hitting, but he's a phenomenal defender, right? That you can't not play Taylor Walls. You can't, because this team without him is significantly worse defensively, even though there's times that he can't hit water if he fell out of a boat, right? And I love Taylor. Like, that's my kind of guy that I would have on my team. I don't know if I'd start him, but I'd have Taylor Walls on my team because he's a switch hitter. He can play third, short, and second. He's a phenomenal teammate. He's great, right? I love having a guy like that on the team. But you have an organization filled with players that you don't know if they're going to, like, prospects are great, guys, but like, that's all they are. Prospect turns into a dirty word after a while.
That's been one of my main complaints too, is because it just seems like they just covet their prospects so much they don't let them, let it rip and come up to the major. And it's just like, hey, we're not trading any of these. We're just going to leave them down there for development for it. But how long are you going to develop these guys for when they could be ultimately ready for the bigs?
You use the word develop though. What guy have you trusted that the development down in the minors is going to be better? Like, I think there's an issue that Carson Williams was not your starting shortstop this year. I also think there's an issue that Carson Williams didn't play well enough. Like, what are we working on with this guy that he should – bro, he got a cup of coffee last year. He should be like Junior got a similar cup and he came up and he was ready and you batted him third and he played all year last year, right? So like, why isn't Carson Williams ready? And we'll talk about Xavier Isaac and we'll talk about all these different guys and Trey Morgan. And it's just like, based on what we've seen, right? And Drew, you brought up the point and I hate it too. Well, here's the numbers. Here's the track record of have we done. All right, so let's use that thought process for the guys that you've not developed. And you want people to be optimistic about your prospects? Like that's not realistic to me. Other thing is the pitching. Everybody till they're blue in the face tells me Kyle Snyder's the best pitching coach in baseball, right? Fair. I think he's a great pitching coach. But you traded away two guys in their mid-20s in Shane Baz and Taj Bradley, right? You're supposed to figure those guys out. And when I see Shane Baz get an extension from the Orioles and I see Taj Bradley striking out 10 guys, like if you're the best pitching coach in baseball, you were supposed to unlock those guys. And now you had to bring in Steven Matz and Nick Martinez to eat innings when you had two controllable arms. You didn't trade them because they were about to be a David Price, Blake Snell, $100 million guy. You traded them because they didn't live up to those expectations when you thought they were going to be part of your future. So that's where I kind of get lost a little bit of like, all right, what is your priority? What's your pedigree? What's your bread and butter, right? What is your identity? Good pitching and defense. Well, you traded away two control arms and your defense is terrible. How are you winning, right? You're winning because Chandler Simpson is doing something that you really didn't put him in a position to do anyway, and you're relying on one of the best prospects in baseball in Junior Caminero. So I think there is an identity crisis for the Tampa Bay Rays, not just with their team, but their entire organization, and all the things that they prided themselves on in the past of being on the forefront of the the shift and the opener and things like that. I don't see that. And I'll ask you guys this: how come they've never done anything on the offensive side of the ball? You know, they've done all these things defensively and pitchers, and they've never done anything game changing on the offensive side of the ball. Why don't they have a guy that's that does like a slash play? Or why haven't they done more hit and runs or run and hits? Why haven't they done more squeeze plays? We're seeing it now, but why haven't they been on the cutting edge of the change of offense? Why is it just pitching and defense? So sorry, that's a long-winded answer.
No, it's fine.
No, that's good.
But I really want this team to do well, and I want them to be able to utilize their resources in the way that they're going to be successful. I tell the kids on my team, you're not from New York. I don't want you to be a Yankee fan because I grew up a Yankee fan. I want you to be a Rays fan. I want you to support this team. The only way that this team is going to continue to grow is if you build those generational fan base, right?
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
make it hard for them to root for them when they don't play baseball the right way. They get rid of their players for no damn good reason. Like Randy Arozarena should still be on the Rays. I don't care what anybody says. Like he should still be on the Rays. There's no reason he wasn't going to get a $300 million contract. He's the guy that puts butts in the seats when that's the number one thing. People would live with Randy Arozarena batting 250 if he hit 30 bombs and he was great to the kids and he threw baseballs in the stands. Like we would have taken that. But I just think there's a little bit of a disconnect between the organization and winning baseball and the fan base. And I just want it with these new owners. I hope that gets right.
Jay, do you think that could be because of the payroll constraints? And I know if the stadium gets done, it's a brand shiny new toy, and then that could bring in extra revenue to increase payroll. Do you think it's, hey, we're going to wait for this thing to happen and then we'll start, shelling out the big contracts? Or is it just still like a disconnect? Like, hey, we're just going to keep doing what we've been doing for the past 20 years or so.
It's going to take time, man. It's going to take time. Because remember, there was a lot of people that thought, oh, new owners, the payroll is going to go up immediately. This year, not going to happen.
Right.
Those guys are going to have to pay now going forward for the new stadium. Right. So like, it's going to take some time. And my worry is that, like, I've said this for many years. It's not the quality of issues that deter people from the Rays. It's the quantity of issues, right? It's whether you agree with it or not, it's too far. I don't like the trop. I don't like the owner. I don't like the payroll. I don't like that they get rid of people. There's just so many that you could ask 9 people and they give you 9 different reasons. Right.
Mm-hmm.
My big thing is you have to have some type of familiarity, right? People are petrified to buy Junior Caminero jerseys. That's sad, bro. That is sad. You could have bought a Victor Hedman or a Nikita Kucherov jersey 10 years ago. That thing could be dusty as hell. You could have worn that thing to 50 games, and it's still relevant right now. It's scary, bro. It's scary. You want to make sure that you're investing your time, your money, your energy into something that is going to give you in return familiarity and love. And the Rays still need to work on that. And I hope they sign these guys and keep them. Like, how great would it be if Chandler Simpson started and finished his career as a Ray? How great would it be if Shane McClanahan went into the Hall of Fame one day as a Tampa Bay Ray, as a one-guy team? He played for 15 years. They need things like that. You want to make sure that you're building that connection with your family.
Let's go old school. Think about having Evan Longoria finish his career as a Ray instead of being traded over to San Francisco.
Well, I was going to say
Kiermaier too. Yeah, Kiermaier too.
They got rid of him in 22 because he had hip surgery, and they're like, "Well, we don't want to pick up your team option." He goes out and wins a Gold Glove with the Blue Jays the very next year, while they say, "Oh yeah, Jose Siri is the best option for this team in 2023." Now they were, of course, a great team in 23, but I think I'd much rather have had Kevin Kiermaier stay another year or two and finish his career. I mean, you could argue he should be in the Rays Hall of Fame. I mean, at a certain point, it's just, but they said, no, we don't want to pay the $12 million. Or you go back to 2021. What did that team need in the playoffs? They needed a veteran starter in the playoffs, like a Charlie Morton. They didn't want to pay Charlie Morton $15 million.
Right.
So they opted to let him go. He goes on to pitch great for the Braves. You think of Travis d'Arnaud in 2019, does great with the Rays. And I know Zunino was fine in 21. Like there's so many guys that they've opted not to pay because it's $10+ million, and it's just at the detriment to the team. We're told it's okay, they have a plan, and then it just ends up being a detriment. It rears its ugly head a few days later or a few years later, and it's just, I don't know. I'm 35. When I was in my 20s and they were doing this stuff, I was like, oh, trust the process. It's gonna be great. Yeah. It's like I feel like I've seen it before, and I've seen this play out, and I'm just tired of the same old. And I do think they're showing their hand. They go get these prospects that are all in high A now, and they're going to be ready around the time a new stadium's going to be built. They have this grand plan to unveil a new stadium and trot out Bodine and Theo Gillen and Daniel Pierce and all these guys. I mean, maybe I should just go buy a Theo Gillen jersey now and just hope I get the number right, and maybe I can keep a jersey for a bit. But
you're right.
Yeah, it's just I feel like if you consume the team the way we do and are watching as often as we are and just really digging into what's being said in the media, you just see these trends, and I don't see anything different happening to fix the problems that we're seeing. And it's like, okay, you want to keep showing me they're a big market, a big league team that's third most wins since 2008, like the Dodgers and the Yankees, all these high profile teams. Well, then let's start treating you like a high profile team, and like in the media, like let's start seeing some harder questions. Like I would love to know why Junior Caminero is hitting fourth and we're putting Jake Fraley in front of him or putting Ryan Vilade in front of him. Please ask Kevin Cash these questions. Like someone say, hey, what's going on here? What's the reasoning? We never get any reasoning for what they're doing, and it's frustrating because it doesn't work. And then we never find out, okay, well, we have to wait for it to change. And it's like, you want to be treated like a high profile team that's super successful, then let's start acting like it. And we just don't. We're just supposed to kind of ignore and sweep things under the rug. And they
need to give us credentials. I'll ask that question.
Well, that's the thing. You got to trust the process, right? Like, and that's what people are saying. But like, the process hasn't been good the last couple of years, right? Yeah. And that's the thing is like, all right, well, you don't trust the process. Well, why don't you question the process? And there's I remember years ago they came in, they were like, well, we don't want to brag about what we do in the public because we don't want it to seem like you're bragging. I'm like, bro, you need to improve the vibes. Like, you need to
go brag.
Go brag. Like,
go brag about it.
The Rays still have an identity crisis, right? And it drives me crazy because, like, I've supported this team. I've worked side by side with this team. I want them to do well. But I've said this for many years, and I'm not saying this as I'm looking down the nose because I was a kid that grew up a Yankee fan, but like, Rays fans deserve better. They deserve better, man. Rays fans are loyal. They're dedicated. They've been through this team through everything. They still, like, you lose your players and like, they're still there. They still go to the game. Like, you could argue that they may be one of the most dedicated fan bases in all of baseball after all the crap that they've been through. during this team's existence with the owners and the players leaving. Like, you deserve better. And I feel like when I say that, it falls on deaf ear. Like, you guys are two perfect examples, bro.
As a member of the 98 card carrying club that's been there since day one, it's been a journey, man.
And I say that as a person that, like, not only that I lived here, like, I choose to live here. I've been here 20 years now, right? I've covered every sport that's under the sun here. I've coached here. My whole family still lives in New York. And I say this, with a little bit of a background, knowing how it is being a Yankee fan. But also I say this as like, dude, I've been to 100 times more Rays games than I've been to Yankee games in my life, right? And I want to see my friends be happy. I want to see the supporters of this team, like, forget about making the playoffs or some stupid ass stat that just you have to move the date back every single year because you're not winning. Like, it used to be, the most wins since 2022, and now it goes back, like you said, Drew, to like 2008. Like, you're
not happy about the wild card banners at all? You don't.
But that's the thing, is like, you Rays fans deserve better. They really do. And I hope that with the new ownership in place and a new stadium that we can go in the right direction, because it doesn't have to be like this. And is it unfair that there's like the Lightning and the Bucks? Life isn't fair. And the Lightning, you can't tell. I played hockey and played baseball growing up. There's 10,000 kids playing baseball in the Tampa Bay area every single freaking day. Don't tell me this is not a baseball town. Go look at who's batting cleanup for the freaking Baltimore Orioles. Go look at who just signed a huge contract for the Dodgers, because I coached against them in high school, and Pete Alonso and Kyle Tucker, right? Don't tell me that this isn't a baseball town when arguably the best pitcher in the AL Central is Parker Messick from Plant City High School. I coached against that kid when he was 10 years old, right? So don't tell me that this isn't a baseball town. Like, we got to fix this shit. Every single person that is involved with the Rays needs to focus, because I'm going to be completely transparent with you. If this does not fix it, we're going to lose the team. And that would be heartbreaking. I do not want to see that. We got to fix it. We got to get it right.
Jay, well, I know you got to get out of here. I'm gonna get you out in this last question. Sure. Coming from the spring to now, who's been really the most kind of surprising player out of camp coming into the regular season, excluding Chandler Simpson?
Okay? I was gonna say Chandler.
Yeah, excluding Chandler, who has been kind of like, hey, okay, all right.
I kind of like Fortes, man. I mean,
I knew you were gonna say
that. Yeah. Fortes is a guy. Again, that's another position. Like, give me a guy you can lock it in, and I'll talk to you in 10 years, right? We're gonna be haunted by the Posey Beckham thing until we find the next Pudge Rodriguez back there. But yeah, Fortes. I mean, again, they are operating in a way of like, all right, if we gotta split time with him at Fiducia, a lot of different people are gonna do that. There's not that many people that have like, all right, we're gonna do the Sal Perez. Even the Royals tried to do that years ago with him and MJ Melendez, and they just end up going back to Salvi. But yeah, I mean, Fortes is a guy, just stay healthy, right? Stay healthy, and that familiarity with the pitching staff. You know, Mike Zunino told me this in his first year with the Rays. He goes, Jay, it's so hard. It's so hard being the catcher for the Rays, because I don't have to just worry about the major league guys. It's the minor league guys. And that's why offensively he really struggled until he kind of found his stroke a little bit, popped the home run in the All-Star game. And you know, it's different for the Rays than anybody else. So yeah, I really like him. And yeah, I mean, we'll just, even though you said don't answer him, it's Chandler Simpson. I love him. Yeah, I'm a Simpson stan. He's a throwback. He could have played this game in any era. They need to lean into him and his personality, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was an all-star this year, no doubt.
Yeah, as long as he's not sliding and making plays like he did in left field, like on that Mario ball.
Yeah,
we'll be good.
I don't know if he'll ever be a Gold Glover, man, but just stay healthy and don't steal third base down 4 runs in the ninth inning.
And we just need teams to keep throwing high fastballs to Fortes, because he doesn't miss them. He doesn't miss them. Yep.
All right, Jay, we'll get you out of here. Where can everybody find you at?
Jay Recher everywhere, at Jay Recher on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. The Jay Recher podcast live every day at noon on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and I started going live on TikTok too. I'm getting like weird Russian bots named Nadia.
I was going to say, you're getting a lot of these dancing videos going through your algorithm right now.
It's a lot. Yeah, I'm going to have to start doing some.
He's global.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks, Jay, for coming in. Again, this is the Rays Rewind podcast, the sickest Tampa Bay Rays podcast on the Sick Podcast Network. Go to our YouTube page at the Sick Podcast, Rays Rewind, like and subscribe, and go to our Instagram page at Rays Rewind Podcast. For myself and Drew and Jay, we'll see you once again on the Rays Rewind podcast. Peace.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Rays Rewind with El Bushman and Drew on YouTube, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.